Hello. Today we have in our studio quite interesting guest. Interesting from many reasons, and he will tell for himself. I'm glad to introduce to you the president of a country called Liberland, which is a blockchain and crypto and progressive-oriented country, and her president, Jedlicka. Hello.
Hello.
It's very nice to be having you here in Kyiv, in Ukraine. Yeah, thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here. You know, it was a great opportunity for me to present Liberland yesterday at Horace's meeting, and now I've got a meeting of Liberland citizens, and it's 3,500 people from Ukraine that also applied for citizenship, so it's a big interest here.
It's indeed, yeah. But for our audience, could you please tell for the one who might not know where is Liberland located? Because all the pupils in the school, I believe, already know where it is, but apparently someone not. Could you tell us a couple of words where you geographically and why you've been called Liberland?
Well, Liberland, of course, because we are a freedom-oriented country, so it's liberty land. We really wanted to go to the limit in terms of applying liberty and for our citizens. We believe that that brings most happiness and most prosperity. You can see it on the places like Hong Kong, Monaco, Singapore. So that's why Liberland. Liberland is located 10 kilometers away from Hungarian borders between Croatia and Serbia. It's a beautiful heart-shaped 7 square kilometers, which is not that bad. I mean, it's actually a third smallest country on the planet after Vatican and Monaco. It's a city-state, so you know, we can probably reasonably fit some 120,000 people to live there, and right now we've got more than 500,000 people that applied for citizenship and want to live here. So we would be probably the most overpopulated country on the planet.
I understand. Could you please tell a bit about its history? Because I know it's already some years history behind. Main milestones, maybe, you know, some serious events you would like to stress and tell, to stress attention and tell our audience about?
Well, Liberland was formed on 13th of April 2015. It was the birthday, 272nd birthday of Thomas Jefferson. Mm-hmm. We felt like we want to invoke the spirit of American Revolution. You know, people getting together from rest of the world seeking a freer place to live in. And I think that is especially important in Europe, where there is so many taxes, so much regulation. The European Union is growing. You know, there's 230,000 pages now of regulation, regulating everything, of course, from the famous bananas. But of course, for example, chemical and pharmaceutical industry, everything is driven by the interest of big corporations and bureaucracy. So we were thinking, oh, let's start fresh. You know, it's almost impossible to untangle all these regulations. They are systematically slowing the progress of the society. Let's start fresh. Let's see how much human potential can there be if we actually start with close to zero or very few laws. And right now we have written some maybe 75 pages of different regulations in Liberland, and I think we're quite fine with it, instead of having these 200 or 250,000 of pages of different laws.
Coming back to a technological side, because I know that one of primary not initiatives, but if I may say streams of development on which the future of the country definitely will be relying on and depending on. It's a new technology, it's a blockchain technology. Could you please tell us how you came up with the idea of using blockchain? What are main tasks blockchain have been used and you're trying to use to solve?
I think Liberland came at the exactly kind of great spot in the history of crypto, and Bitcoin was after the first big downturn. So when Liberland started, Bitcoin was only $250 3.5 years ago, and it has considerably grown since, right, almost 100 times over. And we have kept our reserves as a nation in cryptocurrencies because we saw there is a huge potential. Of course, it was apparently quite reasonable thing to do. We moved a little bit into Ethereum when it started, so that I think was also strategic for the development of the country. And of course, we are very crypto friendly. We are building our governance on blockchain right now. We've got a critical partner, which is DAO Stack, and I think we will be able to have the first pilot project within a month from now. So I'm quite happy that we have a strong partner for governance, but we also have a strong partner for the system of justice. Kleros has been also developed by Liberlanders, and it's a global startup on blockchain for dispute resolution. So these two things, governance and dispute resolutions, are the key for building a successful country. And we are doing our best to basically get the latest technology and apply it for Liberland.
If I may ask, if we touch the finance, definitely it's an important question for many. Cryptocurrency, its fluctuation, we see that the market itself, it's definitely on a child age stage yet, so it still will be growing. We already seen like 800 billion plus, and everybody really see and believe that it will be going more than $1 trillion. It's already been said by many, big players, big guys. So coming back to your financials, are you completely relying on crypto in your country, or you also like diversifying still like on Tether or maybe classic dollars, or you really want to be in this aspect also a newly opportunity land relying on completely new digital trend technology?
No, we're diversifying among cryptocurrencies, but even with all this volatility, we still believe it's better bet than traditional currencies. You know, the chance of them basically growing or holding a value is very little, right? You can see the track record of US dollar. It has been going steadily down. And of course, we will see a huge shift of a paradigm. I think the director of the IMF very recently said herself that we will see a huge shift of paradigm, and there will be a sort of a big event which will make the existing fiat currencies obsolete. And they are. It's a crazy system in which central banks are creating new money out of thick air. That's why it's called fiat. And also the commercial banks are creating new money out of nowhere, basically. And it is all based on debts, right? So it might be quite unstable, and there could be some catalytic event where we will see a much larger shift from fiat currencies into crypto.
Thanks for mentioning this point, because it's really important, I do believe, because everybody's just looking for proof that crypto is here to stay. Everybody already thinks that blockchain is already a proven technology, widely accepted by everybody, governments, corporations, a lot of development is going on. So basically, crypto, as a case for blockchain, is quite obvious that it will be here. Regulation will come, but there are very few players who decide to make this like distinctive move yet today and before, saying, okay guys, we're relying fully on crypto. I know that you got some big names from crypto industry supporting you. I mean, as a country, guys from top 100
crypto influencers.
Yeah. Could you name some of them?
Well, Vitalik recently supported us.
Vitalik
right?
Buterin.
That's a great news, and of course, from very beginning, people like Roger Ver, the Bitcoin Jesus, are supporting Liberland, and many more. Many of them want to remain kind of behind the scenes, but I can tell you that Liberland is a country of the crypto influencers and of people that are pushing crypto forward. And I'm quite happy for their support. I'm doing my best to try to put all these forces together to create the freest, but also one of the most advanced countries in terms of using blockchain technology for the state purposes. But it is always a fight, right? Like, we want to keep privacy of people, we want to be able to fight crime at the same time, and we want to maintain the highest possible level of freedom in terms of taxation and regulation. And we are working hard to put together all these aspects. And I think when we cook the right soup of these elements, then we will have a very much the best governance on the planet, and that could come together with the best country on this planet. So that's our aim.
That's indeed. Could you please tell a couple of words if we start talking about regulation? So what is currently in place, and let's start with the citizenship. So how many citizens there are, and what is like a formal procedure to apply for citizenship? You mentioned that there are already like 3,500 of Ukrainians.
Yes.
It's quite interesting news for me applied. So is there a procedure in place? What is it? And basically, is it like e-citizenship, or basically you're also considering like a physical citizenship?
No, it's a physical citizenship, and of course, you know, we have 2 tiers now. So people that applied for citizenship, we actually consider them e-residents of Liberland, and I think from a month from now there will be a nice e-residency card and a nice infrastructure in terms of public and private keys, so people can sign the documents online, you know, take part in, for example, also dispute resolution and all this stuff that you see normally with e-governance. But hopefully, you know, we're going to provide a new generation of these technologies. So Estonia is kind of leading that, but we want to have everything based on blockchains, and that's important part. But that's e-residency, and that means that those are everybody that applied for citizenship, and they got themselves checked. You know, we don't want to have e-residents criminals or wanted terrorists. And the other tier is citizens, and those are people that have staked more than 5,000 merits. And merits are basically units, or right now it's a kind of a measure how much people have paid in taxes or contributed to Liberland. So taxes are voluntary in Liberland, but if you want to have citizenship, you have to stake more than 5,000 or more merits. So that's the way we want to see. And also the citizenship will be basically kind of a master nodes in our system. Those are the people that will be voting. They will be the ones that will also run our blockchain systems, right? They will be behind the creation of new new currencies. So we've got a pretty, I would say, sophisticated system. It's simple, but I think well thought through how the new tokens in our ecosystem will be created, how we will keep them kind of stable, at least for the beginning, and how citizens will also be rewarded for them being citizens. So they will be able to unstake the merits, and you know, it's a really interesting system in which every single year 10% of the reserves will be released, and they will be offered to the public. And when you pay taxes, you're actually not even paying taxes. You're acquiring the shares of the country where you're living. So taxes in Liberland are voluntary, but not only that, you are actually becoming shareholder of the country that you're living in. And I think it's a major upgrade from what we have seen, you know, that you're paying taxes and nobody even says thank you for paying taxes, right? You pay $20 million in taxes and you're like, okay, great, bye-bye.
Yeah.
And you've got one vote in a society. And somebody who robbed 10 banks or is living on welfare for his whole life also has one vote. And I think there is something wrong about this. So the system of the governance that we came up with is that
it's a proof of stake.
It is basically a proof of stake system, but it's a combination. Every single decision will have to be approved by majority of shareholders and majority of citizens. So there is a level, a degree of democracy, but we want to make sure that the citizens will not be able to push something against the people that have created the country.
But basically, all the decisions, as far as I understand, you'll be partnering with someone who is using blockchain. They will be in blockchain, so transparent, and basically even like the very first decisions, they will be fully traceable. So no one can accuse that you are like shuffling, you know, the vote direction from the proof of stakeholders and citizens. So everything will be in blockchain, transparent, and everybody will understand that it's really like truly democracy. Voting is happening there. Is it the case?
Exactly. So that's everything in the country will be basically fully visible. Right now we are going to do it on Ethereum, but we would like to in a year switch to our own system. So that's, I think, quite important. But you know, I think most important that we have put the interest in alignment. So if you want to have more vote in Liberland, you have to pay more taxes, right? And I think that that's very important upgrade to from where you actually are sitting in a society, and if you want to influence something, you have to bribe somebody. That will not be possible in Liberland. And also, basically, we are turning the control of the funds from the government to the DAO, to the decentralized autonomous organization. So the money, people will be basically staking and sending the money not to the government. You know, we can say we are nice guys, but directly to the DAO, and the DAO will be distributing the funds back to the government.
And DAO, I mean, it's already an official partner in between Liberland and DAO.
DAO-Stack, that's the company. They have successfully did their ICO, and they've got very nice technology for building DAOs. We've got another DAO-related project now. I think in 14 days or 3 weeks, we will have a first company registry, a proper national company registry that will be basically a DAO creating. So you establish your company in Liberland and you get the DAO as a part of it, and it will be quite affordable to incorporate in Liberland. We already started to incorporate companies, but I think this will be a large bonus, right? If you want to have a DAO, it will be the easiest thing to do, and you can do it in Liberland.
Coming back to registry of citizens, is this already on a blockchain, or it's on like a pre-release state?
No. But what we're working now on the identity, which will be partially on blockchain. We are still discussing with different partners. We would like to be a little bit technology agnostic, but the citizenship registry is something which is now centralized. It's kind of hard to do it in a decentralized way, actually. But identity management should be based on a decentralized platform. Yeah, sure, because
there are luckily a lot of startups who already raised funds. You just need to track and see which is stronger, which is better.
And of course, many of these startups are started by Liberlanders. Sometimes they incorporate in different jurisdictions. But it's
again like identity management. There, at least I know 10 guys like Remy, guys like Civic, like Self-Keys. So basically, they're like if we can consider like a partnership story. Is there qualification criteria? For example, today the company will be coming and saying, okay, we have an innovation. Let's say we want our identity management to be used. Is there a formal procedure which they need to follow and to come through in order like to get qualified?
Well, right now we are also launching our system for public tenders. But right now it's more like, if you have a product and something that fits to Liberland agenda, we're very open and accept that. So, for example, you mentioned Self-Key. Actually, I'm meeting Edmund, the founder of that, next week in Malta, and we are finalizing our partnership as well. I think that will be a great fit. They've got lots of technologies that we need, and they will also promote Liberland citizenship on their platform because they're selling different citizenship across the world. So I'm quite happy, and that is one of the partners where the cooperation makes complete sense.
Understand. We already got like the first questions. I see that our audience is interested. They're really excited that Roger Ware supported you. They're looking. Would be nice to have like an official statement. That definitely might be coming. Taxation and regulations. Yeah, it's they're saying that this model should be very opposite to the classical taxation, and might be even you should not be calling this as a taxation, because taxes it's something which have a negative attitude from the people, like, oh, you paying taxes, it's like a burden, something like. So in your case it's more like investment, so like investment in your future, investment in the country.
But people are really puzzled when you tell them there will be no taxes in Liberland, right? So we started to use a kind of an oxymoron, voluntary taxes, because tax is something which you have to pay.
Yeah.
But really, it's in people's head. They cannot understand usually the concept that there could be a society, a nation state based on completely different principles that are the existing ones.
again, as we are touching, it seems like there are still many things to come, and like upcoming years will be quite futuristic, and the years of opportunity for Liberland, because many technologies has to be adopted. In parallel, the blockchain technology is maturing itself. So basically, like adoption of not yet mature technology. So you have to be quite selective, and what you're taking, either the right, let's say, partner on whom I'm making, my stake. Coming to a number, let's say, of authorities, like we know that it's a governance, it's a legal system, it's financial system, it's like you said, even something like to do with dispute or court systems. So let's call it like 10 major bodies have to be and operate in a classical country. Does it mean that all of that will be some partner from outside, or you will be developing yourself,
well,
and
actually,
everything will be?
This is what we believe,
100% blockchain based. So
yes, well, but if it makes sense, right? Like blockchain has become a kind of a buzzword. Sometimes people don't even know what they're talking about, and we just found a couple of events that have blockchain in the name, but they have nothing to do just because people. So it makes sense in some use cases, but for example, state and governance is a great example of adoption. And we are not really planning to have a bunch of developers. We do have a small core team, which is taking care of our internal systems, but we would really like to utilize the latest and the best brains that are on the market, and always be the first adopters, kind of a first pilot, where you can see how that could work in other countries. So that's our focus. And I just came actually from Somaliland, and this was my main pitch there. It's a country that we started to cooperate with, and I told them, you can have actually a nice cryptocurrency for your country, like we are building now. You can have a nice company registry, land registry on blockchain, and you could also have your sovereign wealth fund, so you could tokenize your natural assets, and you don't have to worry about the fact that your banks are having troubles being recognized in international environment. With blockchain and tokens, there is no need for the third parties. You don't have to rely on this anymore. So it's a great time when basically everybody is becoming kind of his own state, his own sovereign, because you no longer need a middleman.
Let me tell a couple of words about Somaliland if someone doesn't know, because as we know that Somaliland, it's the part of Somali country in Africa
it's not. This is important.
It's already independent country.
It is for 27 years completely independent, and yet the international community rejects to recognize it. But now there is like 7-8 countries that make directly business with Somaliland. It's very unlike Somalia, which is in mess. There is constant war. Warlords are struggling to take over. In Somaliland, everybody is
stable.
It's very stable, and there is a big difference. Somalia was colonized by Italy, and Somaliland by British. So while there is a mafia war waging in Somalia, people are drinking tea and relax in Somaliland. And it's a very interesting case. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely terrific that, that's part of the same land, not the country. Just, like you said, in a mess, and there is a war where somebody else, sitting in peace. It's definitely a tragic story for people. Nevertheless, let us put all politics and legacy aside and talk about the future, not about the past. Because I know that Somaliland is not only quite stable, let's say in terms of conflict, but it also attracts some investments. It also looking forward for adoption of new technologies like blockchain. So in this case, again, Liberland, you're sitting like you're placed in the middle of Europe. So basically, you know all the technologies. It's close proximity. So you're quite strong on technological side. From other hand, Somaliland, I know by the style of living and the level and poverty levels in Africa, they're not that advanced. So am I correct? Am I getting you correct that it was like an official visit to establish some relationship where you potentially could be given technological advisory?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what we did, and we signed a cooperation agreement a year ago. between Liberland and Somaliland, and now we came to put it in power. We're also building our permanent base there, our representative office, which I hope it will be turned into embassy sooner or later. So again, Somaliland is a very interesting example, because just like Liberland, they are kind of starting from scratch. It's a 5 million people country, so it's not that small. It's larger than United Kingdom in terms of the size of the land, and it has enormous natural resources, which are to large degree completely undiscovered. It was kind of forgotten by the rest of the world, and now it is a great opportunity. And Dubai have recently decided to invest $650 million there to build a port and a free trade zone, which is exciting. So there are things moving in the right direction in that country, and for us it's interesting because, of course, it's a first country where we are directly engaged and can push our agenda, which can tremendously help the country.
I understand. Coming back to Liberland, Somaliland, and the needs, are there some exact initiatives been already discussed and planned, or it's only like a gesture of, you know, political acceptance, like we'll support you, you support us, we can exchange something, or have you already have discussed something in particular?
Well, we do have discussed cooperation, and we turned it into a piece of paper. We signed an MOU last year, and of course the main areas are banking, tokenization, also actually housing and technology in terms of architecture. So it has like different areas of cooperation which we would like to push forward in the coming year.
In this aspect, again, as far as I understand, the resources are still limited for Liberland. Again, coming back to open partnership, because for me, like liberty, it's like, and you declared we're open to the whole world. If there will be now crypto enthusiasts, again, crypto companies, investment funds, who would be willing to help Liberland, to help Somaliland in building those cases, so to whom they should address the intentions to? I mean, is there like a formal office, or they should write to the president?
There is an office. We've got offices in now 105 countries around the world, and I'm happy if the
105 countries.
Yeah. So we have expanded quite rapidly all around the world, and I'm happy that also in Ukraine we have a good team of people, and I would be happy if, of course, more people join them. And I hope today we also finalize some sort of physical space here in Kiev, kind of a representative office. I think that will be exciting to come here again and open it. Those are the places where you can come and see what are the available investments in physical, or what are the most interesting Liberland startups. What is happening in Liberland in general. But you said, there is still, of course, a resource issue, of course, but the amount of money pledged for development of Liberland is amazing. It's more than $30 billion. The 500,000 people have applied, and they pledged investments for the development of the country. And even if 10% out of it was real, it's still $3 billion, and the whole country can be developed for that kind of money. So the resources are there. Now the question is how fast are we able to get them engaged and implement it. And right now we're in a stage where we are building a small conference center, and there is a first housing project for Liberland.
When it will happen?
The 13th of April will be the big opening. So if you
2019.
Want to, yes.
Yeah,
if you want to come and visit Liberland, that's a great opportunity. Because of security issues and flooding issues, we are still building everything on water. But it's still an exciting time with beautiful landscape, right? Danube can be really nice. I know you've got your rivers here in Kiev, and it's also quite nice. But in Liberland, we are building now everything on water, and it is especially for the social gatherings. So we will be able to host events for 200 people plus.
But this event in particular will be having like social agenda, or it will be like investment forum? How do you position it?
It will be both, right? Because it will be the 4th birthday of Liberland. We will have lots of diplomats, lots of investors, and we will show to the world what has been basically achieved so far. And I hope that the governance on blockchain will be fully operational, because we want to run a couple months of pilot for that, and if everything proves to be correct, then we will put that. We should have the dispute resolution mechanism in place, and there should be first houseboats in Liberland, which is kind of exciting.
You know, I would like to come back and talk about one important point. You know, for recent years there was like false blaming on blockchain and crypto, that it's more for negative use than the positive use. Definitely, I mean, it's not the case in the story, because I mean, like, dollar has been used for the same purpose, but in much you know, bigger, you know, volumes and sizes. Coming back to KYC, or know your KYS, know your citizen, or KYC in this citizen procedure. Definitely there are bad guys in the world, let's call them like that, and good guys. So as far as I understand, there should be still some, you know, some way to protect the liberty and Liberland from like bad guys trying to sneak in and to become. So is there like a KYC procedure in place?
Of course, basically getting e-residency status means that we know who you are, and we know that you are not wanted in some other country. So that's what we are doing right now. And of course, if you stake the 5,000 merits at some point, then we know who you are, and you become also liable with these 5,000 merits to Liberland jurisdiction. And that, I think, is a quite interesting use case for the tokens, that they become your collateral in the jurisdiction where you're living. So if, for example, you make something bad and you reject to compensate, and the court in Liberland, a decentralized court, will find you guilty, then this court will be able to basically transfer those merits from you to another person to compensate that. And you can also get in minus. And there, it's funnily enough, there are a couple of people that are in minus, but the system has proven to be very efficient in fixing justice in Liberland. It has proven to be quite fast, because people basically don't want to be the first criminals in Liberland, and they don't want to be the, you know, top 5 wanted list in a jurisdiction which is the next generation of justice system. And they would be quite famous, of course, if they committed something, then they would be on the headlines of the magazines as the biggest criminals in this newly created system.
Yeah. But again, as far as I understand, you creating like a country of peace. Yeah. So definitely you create it for the good, for peace, for freedom,
of course,
not for anything negative.
But we want to be able to get rid of bad actors, or you know, to make sure that there is a sort of punishment for people that are stealing from other people, and that must be, even if you're on the other side of the planet now, traditional countries have very little way to do something about it. But in Liberland, it will be possible, you know, that in a time where actually. And this is one of the aspects of crypto anarchy, right? There is not a really good way to get rid of bad actors, and Liberland is actually providing that. It's providing this transparency, but also a system in which you have something in stake, which motivates you to act reasonably within your community. So you cannot stay anonymous in Liberland,
or you can stay if you are under 5,000 merits?
No. You can stay anonymous how long you want. You don't have to disclose your identity to anybody. But if you want to make, if somebody wants you to disclose your identity, if you're making business with him, then if it's his condition, then it has to be done, right? He wouldn't do the business with you otherwise. Yeah. And you will also be able to disclose how much merits you have. That means how much stake you have in Liberland, and that is some guarantee for his performance. So
we have some questions from the audience. Again, some construction, as far as I understand, is going on. I would rephrase the question. Is there an official roadmap which shows like physical development, like technological development, your commitment, like your maybe international relationship development? So Is there a roadmap in place, or are you planning, and by when we could expect like official policy roadmaps being published and saying, okay, this is what we're gonna build, this is with whom we're having an international relationship and why, this is technological trends, we definitely support those technologies in those areas. Is there such...
Well, there is a roadmap from very beginning, and luckily we're still going after it. We're following those main parameters, but some of the things are very hard to assess. For example, our relations with Croatia, they are still not in the best condition that we would like to see them, but we were expecting it. It will take a long time to fix this relation with our neighbors.
Building facilities and
that's of course building on the land. Now all the building can be done on the Danube River. That's very important. We are using it to the full degree. Building on the land might be still difficult. As I told you, we had some major issue with that last year, where the building that we had there was removed by Croatians illegally. But this is something which can change anytime. And the great thing about our relations with Croatia is that one of the biggest opposition parties is fully supporting us, the party of Ivan Pernar, Živi.
Local.
And they've got 15% right now. It's not a fringe party. They might be in the next government quite easily, and we need some strategic supporters in Croatia to make the development inside of Liberland happen. Right?
Do you believe that you were able to find such support within the nearest year, 2 years?
Everything relies on their political success right now. We've got that support in place already, and the question is if these guys will be in the next government or not. And I believe they will make it. Their roadmap is now 4 years, actually, to become part of the government. But these things are still hard to assess.
It
doesn't prevent us from building the best governance system on blockchain. It doesn't prevent us from building on side of Danube River. It doesn't prevent us to expand our diplomatic network. And the other great thing about Liberland is that the Liberlanders themselves are building villages all across the world.
Coming back to diplomatic relationship, and you mentioned that there are kind of embassies already in 105 countries across the globe. What's the progress like? Again, mentioned in Somaliland that those guys cannot get officially accepted by countries like, big players like United States.
Well, that's where I came from. I actually came from U.S. Congress directly to Somaliland, and we've got a lot of support in U.S. Congress. That's what I'm building on there. Actually, I've got a couple commitments that the congressmen from U.S. will be coming to the 4th anniversary of Liberland. So I think that will be quite cool if we have a delegation from U.S. Congress coming on 13th of April next year.
But is there any country who formally already accepted, or basically, if not that, because I understand it's also a progress 3 years for the country history, it's nothing, so it's in terms of human history.
Somaliland, is fully functional country for
25 years.
It's more than that now, but they are unable to get official state recognition despite being a peaceful and well-governed country. And we were trying to understand how does it hamper their internal processes, and it doesn't that much, right? They're doing better than Somalia, which is recognized.
Yeah.
So this recognition is just a piece of paper between the two countries, and I believe we're doing much better if we are basically just taking care of our own business and we get recognized for the things that we have achieved, not that we go to somebody and ask us to recognize us. Liberlanders are quite a big nation already, or let's say still small in the world. But we are bigger than Malta or Iceland, right, in terms of a number of citizens. So we are a decent group of people that I think can get a lot of things done. But again, we are seeking recognition through our achievements, not through pushing. These representative offices have, of course, on the top of the agenda, let's get Liberland recognized, let's talk to politicians, let's talk to government.
Sure. Again, all those legacy things like recognition, it's definitely important, but I think you're really capable to build and develop a virtual state, because I mean everything now it's e-commerce, e-government, e-everything. So shall we be the first who will show e-government on a blockchain, e-commerce on a blockchain, international relationship on a blockchain? Example.
I'm not sure about the international relationship, right? It's hard to.
No, I mean maybe like a legal act can be placed in a blockchain, and they say, guys, there is no shuffling in between with whom we agreed on what. Like, yeah, there will be in database. We can fix the document. So even placing like your schedule of visits, I don't know, and documents. I mean, as much as you can, if they will be placed on a blockchain, that you can already be the precedent to the whole community world. That I mean, technically, it's capable to do in a country. So from one hand, from another hand, it just pop up in my mind. There is a couple of startups, some of them in Germany, who are creating a virtual world. You know, virtual reality is coming here. So and again, it's like, you know, matter of anticipation. Like you looking forward to see some movie. You see teaser. You like already got something. So you can be building like a virtual, you know, construction and virtual places where people meet one another. It's already it's something like Facebook evolution. So and then if within a couple of years you'll be able, you know, to build it physically, then why not? Because again, you can already start building it. And
by the way, you know, whole Liberland is in virtual reality.
Yeah.
Of course, one of those projects were designed to like smallest details.
Okay.
You can also see shops and flying cars and everything. So we've got like a virtual, let's say, development center for Liberlanders, and if you come to Liberland, you will be able to take on the Google Store. You can download the whole virtual. There is a e-commerce virtualization of Liberland also happening. There is a partnership company in Belgrade which is making that happen, and I've got a meeting with them scheduled for next week. So things are moving that direction. We are very much focused now on helping our community of companies to grow, and we believe that the future of incorporation is on blockchain, and that is something where we would like to be a complete leaders.
You know, definitely I should confess, it's quite a big endeavor which you are doing, because it's like building country within a year with such enormous amount of technology is definitely hard. What's the team size? I mean, how many people are currently actively involved in doing all of that? Because it's like you have to have quite a staff.
The key thing for us is outsourcing, finding the right partners, making sure that these partners themselves actually have a good technology and good teams. Right now, the internal team of Liberland kind of administration is only 10 people. We've got 4 ministers and some 10 advisors. So that's the internal team, and then we've got 105 representatives across the world, and then probably 6-7 key partnership companies around Liberland.
That's great. I see that we are running out of time, so at the end I think shall you, Mr. President, Liberland, say something to our audience, that send a message how it feels to be the first and fresh started country, how to leverage the new technology, don't see, you know, the limitation, but see the possibilities. Anything you would like to deliver to the audience? Shall you please use?
Well, I think, you know, no matter where you're living, it's a great time on this planet, and it's a great time of self-sovereignty. Basically, everybody can kind of has its own state. And we are so much tied to our belief system that this and this and this cannot be done because somebody told us in high school, but it's not true. Like the opportunities are now amazing, and I think we will see so much more startup countries and startup nations in the near future, and I hope they will be more successful than the traditional ones. It's not a big challenge, actually. Yeah,
that's true. Again, today with us was the first president of blockchain A country which is definitely relying on blockchain technology in the very, like, I don't know, ultimate extent, in a cryptocurrency, digital currency, which is, you know, it's here to stay, and something really new in terms of form and sort. I really do hope that the next years will be not only years of hard work, but a great partnership and, you know, great endeavors. I would like to see Liberland by 2025 as a bright example to maybe so many others who need it, who feels it, who can do it. It was a great pleasure talking to you today. Today with us was Jedlicka. Definitely will be at the birthday of your country.
Excellent.
Yeah, and 105 countries' embassies. It's already a great achievement and endeavor. I think you should be sending, which you're already doing, the message across the globe. Then so many people who are Generation Z, the youngsters who really looking forward, not backward, will be coming and supporting the country. This is my thought.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.